What is up, my bodyweight warriors, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about asymmetry and how to fix left to right strength imbalances. This is actually one of the most common questions that I get asked, one by clients, but also just on this platform on YouTube by people in the comments. They say, oh, my left side is stronger than this, my right side is stronger than that. It's a really common question, and understandably so. I think there's definitely this idea when we get into training and get quite analytical with things that we want everything to be perfect. We're going to get perfect form. We want the perfect program. We want our body to be perfectly symmetrical, both in aesthetics and strength. And in the reality of things, it's not going to happen. We are human beings and we develop strong tendencies to right and left side, generally speaking, unless you're fortunate enough to be ambidextrous throughout our lives. You know, you right-handed. If you play any sports like football or rugby or a throwing sport, you're generally going to be better with one arm than the other. And you're going to develop these patterns which is going to strengthen one side and not develop the other side as much. And this is perfectly normal. This is like, I very, very, very rarely see somebody who is, you know, pretty evenly balanced. Most people have a dominant side, a stronger side. And I think it's important to just know that that's absolutely fine and there's actually nothing wrong with that. I wouldn't be inclined to work particularly hard on fixing it unless there was a significant difference. And by significant difference, I mean, like, say we're doing bicep curls and our right arm can do 2 or 3 reps more than our left arm. That's quite a big discrepancy in terms of strength. I think that's just important to mention that from a standard point of view, it doesn't really matter if your left arm or your right arm is stronger or weaker than the other. What matters is if it's affecting your performance. Could you be stronger at doing X, Y, and Z movements if you had more structural balance? The answer is probably yes. That being said, in this video I'm going to share with you 4 ways in which you can improve the imbalances that you may have between your left and your right side. Point number 1 is actually going to help you discern whether you do or not, and that is just to use unilateral exercises. This is a great way to understand if you do have any imbalances because it's going to highlight it. And number 2, start to work on evening out those left to right sides. These are very, very simple to introduce. You know, you can be something as simple as instead of doing squats, we can just supplement in maybe some split squats instead. These 2 patterns are different. A squat is a squat, a split squat isn't going to replace that. However, if we're doing a squat and say we're limiting our overall performance because one leg's weaker than the other, we wouldn't necessarily know that unless we expose ourselves to a unilateral movement such as split squats, and then we can do our left and our right side and we can be like, okay, I can do a couple of reps less on my left side, I know I need to strengthen this side. So if you're not doing some unilateral work already, it's great to add in maybe for 3, 4, 5 weeks because it will expose some things that you may not be aware of beforehand without doing those exercises. Point number 2 is a very, very simple one to implement, is start your unilateral exercise on the weak side. So say again, we're going to do some split squats in the gym and we notice that our left leg always gets tired quicker than our right leg. What are we going to do? Start the set with our left leg first and then the right leg is the second leg that we work. This means we're starting with our weak side, so it's going to help primarily to develop the strength there. There will be a little bit of fatigue accumulated when we go to the right side, which means the performance will be a bit less. And then over a period of time training in this way, that for most people will sort out left to right imbalances to a certain degree. You're going to have to start with one side first when you're doing a unilateral exercise, so start with the weak side. And just on this point, if you're doing unilateral stuff, generally speaking, we don't want to alternate backwards and forwards. You're better off performing all reps on one side and then all the reps on the other. Right, so those first 2 points are really going to help us if we've got a very slight imbalance between left and right. If we've got a little bit more of a significant imbalance, there's a couple more ways in which we can adjust things to make up for that and improve our performance. Number 1 is select an intensity that is right for the weaker side. So it might be a natural reaction. If one side is weaker than the other, we're going to use one intensity or one weight for one side and another weight, another intensity for the other. Or using the same intensity or weight on both sides and failing 2 or 3 reps earlier on the weaker side. This is only going to develop those imbalances further. So what we're better off doing is adjusting the intensity and weight to the weak side. Work at intensity, so say you're doing 3 sets, 8 to 10 reps, work at an intensity that your weaker side can handle, and then it's going to be easier for your stronger side. We will get optimal development for the weak side, and we get a little bit less stimulation for the stronger side, so we'll probably maintain strength or not develop it as quickly as the weaker side. The basic point here is focusing on your weakest link, setting your training intensity to that point, and then hopefully it'll catch up over time with the others. The 4th and final point, if you want to take some drastic intervention, is kind of similar to the previous point, but instead of adjusting the weight, we're going to adjust the volume that we use. So again, say for example, our left side is weaker than our right side. we can do simply the optimal amount of work on our weak side, and we can do less work on our stronger side. Again, like the last example, over a period of time, this should start to even out because we won't develop as quickly on the strong side and we'll develop at a reasonable rate on the weaker side. So a really simple example of this is if we're going to do 3 sets of 8 to 10 again on our exercise, we could do 3 sets on the weak side and then we could just do 2 sets on the stronger side. And again, hopefully given some time and some consistency with this method, we should see those sides even out and then we can just start training normally again. But that's kind of it for this video. I hope those 4 points were useful. Number 1, start with some unilateral exercises. This will help expose if you do have any left to right imbalances. Again, if you do, don't stress, it's not the end of the world. Everyone pretty much has this. It's part of being human. It's not something you need to worry about. But if it is significant, maybe it's going to limit your performance and maybe it's worth working on. Point number 2, we just start our set on the weak side. If we're doing a unilateral or a one-sided movement, we just start on the weak side and over time, with that little bit of fatigue, get stronger on the weak side. If you have more of an imbalance than this, then maybe we can start adjusting things. So point number 3 is we adjust the intensity and we adjust the weight for the weak side. We want to make the challenge for the weak side appropriate and optimal, and then we can make it easier for our stronger side while our weak side catches up. And the 4th and final point in which you can adjust things is by simply doing more work on the weak side and less work on the stronger side. That being said, I understand this video is quite specific and potentially a little bit confusing, so if you do have any questions about today's video, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below and I'll do my best to answer your question, or I'm sure somebody else in the tribe will do so. If you just enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, if you're dealing with some imbalances yourself, hit that thumbs up button, support the channel, show you're enjoying these videos, and right next to it is that subscribe button as well if you want to join the Bodyweight Warrior tribe and don't miss out on any more hopefully helpful videos. But that has been it for this week, guys. I'll catch you in the next episode. Have a strong week and peace.